Hi friends, I'm Ed Space and today I want to show you how I made my track See the Light.
I wanna see
So my track See the Light just got released last Friday and you guys can check it out. It's on Spotify. And what I want to do is take you through some of the layers. I'll show you how I made the intro part, how I made the chorus, the main drop. So I got the vocals from Splice. They're from this vocalist named Kara. And I really like these vocals because they stood out a lot and I felt like I could make something interesting with them. So what they sound like is, we'll just play this main part right here. So this was me just chopping up the main part of the vocals and kind of arranging them so that they go along with the beat. And this is the build-up part, by the way, so let's just listen to the whole section. And then what I did was I took the whole sample and I sliced it in Ableton Simpler. And the slicing mode is set to transient so that it picked up on all the transient throughout the sample. And then I had them available to me on the push. And all I did was just play around with them while playing the beat until I found something interesting. And the vocal chop that I landed on was super simple, but kind of created this catchy groove along with the main bass part. So this is what the vocal chop sounds like in the main drop. So it has a mix of the shorter notes and some sustained notes. And I had a bunch of other notes that I tried out, but ended up just going with like this main simple chop. And then for the second part of the drop, I brought in the original sample to kind of create a call and response play between the vocal chop. So that's pretty much the vocals for the drop, and the almost only other part of the drop is the bass layer that I have. So the bass line is made up with a Serum patch, a G-House styled bass, and I'm just modulating the sustain on these sustained notes right here. So anytime that the note holds in, I was just turning up the knob, kind of open up this cutoff filter. Because this envelope right here is modulating the cutoff filter. And that creates this contrast between the shorter, stabbier notes and the longer, sustained notes. So that is all for the bass layer. And then we have the sub bass as well. This is just adding some punch into the low end, and it's playing the same riff as the main bass. So for the drums, all it is playing right here is a kick layer. This is the kick, which is a bounced audio sample. I used the Kick2 plugin to create this kick, and it's a very dry, very short, stabby kick that kind of works well within the notes of the bass. And for the rest of the drums, I have this layer of claps, which have this little reverse, which creates more of a groove than just a straight clap layer. And then I have another layer of claps, which on this I'm using a simple delay to just add some stereo width to the drum patch. And then I even have a white noise layer, I think, to bring some more top end into the claps and boosting the stereo width to create some nice stereo. And then I have another white noise patch, which is, it's a reversed patch. So on every fourth of the beat, it'll kind of add this swoosh into the next, like accentuating every fourth beat, basically. And it hits like right after the claps. It's like, and then just an offbeat hat right here, just to add to that simple housey groove. And also adding a ride patch, which I think is just a simple 909 ride, and it's bounced into a layer, which I've also added some ping pong delay just to add some sparkle in the stereo field. And for the main drop as well, I'm using some additional fill samples to kind of add some interest and add some groove to it. Another little fill to signify the next beat, so that you feel like the drop progresses. And that's pretty much all for the drums. So for the most part, this song is, it's not that complex, but I've taken some care with each of the layers to make sure that they sound as good as they can. And that was the main idea of the track, was the drop, and then how I developed it into the full song. What I did from there was I created a silent patch. In fact, I didn't create this patch. It's one of the default patches, the classic VA arpeggio. And I just really like the sound of this when I play the notes on my push controller. So it's kind of creating this driving riff while also modulating the filter of it to kind of push the track forward. And then in the break, it just goes into this into the melodic part, which almost acts as like a bass line, because I don't have any, like, the main riffy part of the bass isn't playing here. It's just kind of accentuating the groove of it along with this. So let's play them together. And this is like the first intro beat really of the track. So like the bass part is just playing this, like really enunciating the groove of it. And I felt like the bass layer really played well with this arp, kind of highlight some of the notes and create a nice groove together. And then once you get into the breakdown, the melodic part of it, then the bass notes just follows along and it doesn't jump between the octaves. So it's just to keep this groove of it. And while that is working in the build, I'm kind of hinting at the main, the main sample part of the vocals by bringing them in. So as soon as she says, "I want to see the light," is when the break comes. And then another sample, "Oh, I want to see." So it's kind of playing back and forth between the vocal chops and the sample. And then once she says, "I want to see the light" again, then it goes into the... Oh, in fact, I took out that part to create, a change. So not adding the light sample here, but using another part of the sample to create the build-up, and it sounds like this. And what else? So that's the build-up part of it. And all of the notes for the silent arp and the bass are just playing a straight note, while this new layer comes in, which is like a melodic string layer. And all this is doing is revealing like a melodic theme of the song right before the drop. I think this melody isn't baked into any of the notes in here, so it's a unique element to the song that only plays in the breaks and the build-ups. So it sounds like this. And on its own, doesn't sound very interesting, but in the mix, kind of adds a nice top melodic layer. Just really letting this hang on the reverb and just letting the reverb kind of fade out over the drop. It's like it's really just hanging on the reverb throughout. And I thought that felt really nice. It's kind of like tying the build up together, and then the drop is so minimalistic. So it kind of feels like a lot of space opens up. And that's pretty much it for the first half of the song. And then for the second break of the song, I made this really interesting effect from the vocals. I'll play it for you first. So the layer I'm talking about is this one, which I made using the Echo device in Ableton. And all it is I'm taking this first little sample, this kind of breathy, just a breath part of the sample, and echoing that. And then what I'm doing is I'm playing with the feedback of the Echo device. Right now this is bounced, so I don't have the automation anymore, but I'm just boosting the feedback over 100 so that it actually starts adding onto itself. And then I have this other sample that I want to see sample. So that adds to the echo layer. and I'm pulling back on the echo to kind of create this, kind of ramps up into it and then pulls it back to create this, ebb and flow of the echo. And it sounds like this from the beginning. And then towards the end, it just starts getting very crazy. And then once the beat comes in again, just fading it out, just lowering the feedback so that it dissipates basically. And what's really that adds like a very interesting atmosphere to the whole break that I really liked, and I can play it with the whole break. And then here I have a different vocal chop, using the same vocal sample, but just a different arrangement to create like an alternative melody from it. And I felt this sounded really nice with the melody. I think it created those together as a pair. And this is what the vocal chop sounds like by itself. And that created like a very kind of, poppy, happy feeling. And then adding in some of the original samples to keep the main theme of the song, and that's what you heard. While the string melody is playing in the background as well. And then we're back into the second drop. So that's pretty much it for the song. You can listen to this part, which is pretty much the same as the first drop. And then again, using the echo device in Ableton, and just really dragging out the fade out of this vocal as it's playing out with the beat. Which is the main theme of the song, See the Light. So it's just playing out and kind of fading into the space. And the bass part is playing this reducted, just a minimal version of the main drop theme or the riff. As the drum layers disappear, and we're just left remaining with the kick, the bass, and the vocals. All right, and that pretty much concludes how I made this song. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you like my song, let me know about it and leave me a comment. And I think this will just be a part 1 of the video. In the next part of this video, I'll show you guys how I made the album cover for my song. And I can give you some more insights into that part of the process as well, because I just don't only do the music, but I also do my visuals as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And with that said, I'm Ed Space, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Space out.